Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. If not, welcome back and thank you for supporting me. I'm Coretta. In this video, I will show you how to create a multicolor rhinestone template. You will need Silhouette Studio Designer Edition or above. If you will be cutting with your Cricut machine, you will need Silhouette Studio Business Edition. Come on, let's get started. Okay, so here I am in Silhouette Studio and I have my blank canvas open. So what I'm going to do is I want to type out the phrase extraordinary. So to add text, I am going to select the text tool on the left, which is the icon that looks like the letter A. And then I'm going to click anywhere on my canvas, and then I'm going to type out the word extra. And then I'm going to click anywhere else on my canvas. Again, I'm going to select the text tool on the left menu bar, and I'm going to select the A, click anywhere on the canvas, and I'm going to type the word ordinary. And then I'm going to select anywhere on the canvas. Now I have my phrase, so I will change the color. I'm going to select the word extra, and I'm going to change the color to a gray. To change the color, I'm going to go to the right menu toolbar, and I'm going to select the third icon, which is the paint palette. And I am going to change this to a shade of gray. And next, I'm going to select the fourth icon, which is the line style panel. And I'm going to select the second icon. And I'm going to turn that red line that's around the word extra, I'm going to change it to none. And I'm going to do the same thing for the word ordinary. I'm going to select ordinary. I'm going to go to my paint palette and I'm going to change this color to red. Next, I'm going to select my font. So to select my font, I'm going to select the word extra. Then on the right toolbar, the letter, I'm going to select the text style icon, which is the seventh icon from the top that also looks like the letter A. And once on this panel, I will select the font of my choice. And for this project, I'm going to select Santana Moss. Not Santana Moss, that's a football player. Santana Black. So I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to select Santana Black. When creating rhinestone templates, I like to use a chunky or a thick font. In my opinion, they are easier to work with. You can play around with other fonts to see which ones you like. For the word ordinary, I want to choose a thin font that when I convert it to rhinestones, it will form a single line of rhinestones. To get this effect, you should always choose a sketch font or a single line font. I will leave a list of those fonts that I like to use in the description of this video. These fonts can be downloaded from Creative Fabrica. So to change the font on ordinary, I'm going to make sure that it's selected, and then I'm going to change the font to a font called Dear Agatha, which is this font here. And as you can see, it is a single line font. Now that I have my font selected, the next thing I want to do is I want to size my design to about 11 inches in width. But before I size my design, I want to show you all how you can see that the bounding box around the word extra is actually larger than the word. So to get a more accurate size, I am going to ungroup the word and group it back together. To ungroup, I will make sure that the word is selected, and on the top menu, I'm going to select Object, and then I'm going to select Ungroup. Now you can also do this by right-clicking, but for this tutorial, I will be using the top menu. Once the word is ungrouped, I'm going to go back to Object, and I'm going to select Group. Now once you ungroup the word, it will no longer be recognized as text, and you will not be able to edit it anymore. So you want to make sure that your word is spelled correctly and you've made your final font style selection. If you're not sure, you can always make a duplicate copy of your word. Okay, now I will size the word extra to 11 inches. You can size by pulling on the corner bounding box, or you can go up to your toolbar, lock the proportion, and then type in 11 inches and hit enter. And that will give you 11 inches in width. And I'm just going to position it here for now. Next, I will size the word ordinary to fit the rest of my design. So, to do that, I am going to select the word ordinary, go up here to Object and select Ungroup, go back to Object and select Group. Then I'm going to size this word to about 6 inches in width. And then I'm going to position it right about there. So now I will size the whole design to 11 inches in width and 5 inches in height. So I'm going to unlock the proportion. I'm going to select the word, the whole design, and I'm just going to pull it down to about 5 inches or so. Like that. So I want it about 5 inches in height. So that'll work. Okay, so I want the word extra to be 2 rhinestone colors when I convert it to a rhinestone. So to create the 2 colors, I'm going to add an internal offset to the word extra. To add an internal offset, I will select the word extra, and on the right toolbar, I'm going to select the offset panel. And it is the 12th icon, and it looks like a star with an outline. With the word selected, I am going to select internal offset. And because I have practiced this design, I know that I want the internal offset to be 0.155. And then I'm going to hit enter. After I create the internal offset, I'm going to group the internal offset together so that they can move as one. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select the internal offset, holding down my shift key. I'm going to select the internal offset to all of the letters. So holding my shift key, I'm going to select the X, I'm going to select the T, okay, let's see, the E, the X, the T, one more time, the E, the X, the T. Okay, I'm just going to move this out of the way, and I'm just going to select all of the letters this way. I'm going to go up to Object, and then I'm going to group them together. And then I'm going to put this back, and to make sure that it's properly aligned, I'm going to select everything, and I am going to align center and align middle. That way everything is back to the way that it was. The next step now is to convert this design to rhinestones. To convert the design to rhinestones, I am going to open up the Rhinestone panel. Now you can select the Rhinestone panel from the right toolbar, which is this jewel here at the bottom, or you can go to the top menu, select the word panel, and then go down and select rhinestones. And it will show you the Rhinestone panel. On this panel, there are 4 rhinestone effects. You have none, you have edge, you have linear, and you have radial fills. There is rhinestone size 6SS, 10SS, 16SS, and 20SS. You have your rhinestone spacing, which defaults to 0.039. You have a freehand option to add additional rhinestones. And then you have release rhinestones. And this ungroups the rhinestones and make them their own individual object. And at the bottom, there's a rhinestone counter here at the bottom. And this lets you know how many rhinestones you will need in order to press onto your design. For this project, I will be using 10SS rhinestones. So I'm going to first convert the word extra. To convert it, I am going to select the gray area of the word extra. And on the Rhinestone panel, I'm going to select 10SS. And then I'm going to select edge. This is because I want the word extra to be outlined. Next, I'm going to change my spacing because I want my rhinestones closer to each other. So I'm going to change my spacing to 0.015, and then I'm going to hit enter. Next, I'm going to select the internal offset, and I am going to select the 10SS, and then I'm going to select the radial fill. And so that you can see it better, I'm going to change the color of the rhinestone circles. So I'm going to go to my paint palette, and I am going to select red. And then I'm going to go to my line panel, and I'm going to change the line color to none. Next, I'm going to convert the word ordinary to rhinestones. So as I stated earlier, the font used is a single line font, meaning there should not be any overlapping lines. Because there are no overlapping lines, when I convert to rhinestones, it will convert as a single line. So I'm going to select the word ordinary. I'm going to go back to the Rhinestone panel. I'm going to select SS10, and then I'm going to select edge. Now, I also want to make sure that these rhinestones are closer together as well. And so I'm going to change my spacing to 0.015, hit enter. So now I'm going to zoom in so that you can see. I'm going to close this down for a minute, and then I'm going to zoom in. And as you can see that there are some gaps in the word extra. There are also some overlapping stones in the word ordinary. And I don't want that. And so in order to correct that, I need to fix it. To fix this, you will need to ungroup and release the rhinestones. So that I can work with each layer individually, I'm going to move them to an open space on the canvas so that I can have enough space to work with. So I'm going to zoom out just a little bit, and I'm going to move the word extra down here so I can have some space to work with. Now to fix it, I'm going to select the rhinestone image of the word extra. So I'm going to select the word extra, and on the top menu, I'm going to go to object, and I am going to ungroup. Now I have each letter individually. So now I'm going to fix the letter E so that I can fill in some of the gaps that are in the letter E. And to do this, I am going to select the letter E, and then I'm going to, on the Rhinestone panel, so I'm going to open up the Rhinestone panel again. And on the Rhinestone panel, I'm going to select Release Rhinestones. This will turn all of the circles into individual objects. Next, I will then start to make adjustments to the circle by moving them around. I can move them around by using the mouse or the arrow key on my keyboard. And so I'm going to zoom in so I can see the E better. I'm going to zoom in, and then I am going to move the stones around by selecting it, and I'm going to use my arrow key. And sometimes I use my arrow key, sometimes I use my mouse. I just kind of go in between the two of them at my discretion. Like, I have no set way that I actually move my stones around. I just do them as it comes to me. Now, if you want to add a rhinestone, what you would do is select a circle rhinestone, and then you would copy and paste it into the template, and then just place the new rhinestone where you want it to go. And so I'm going to do some copy and paste and insert some rhinestones in this area here. And I'm, again, just moving it around, trying to fill in the gaps, making sure that none of the stones are overlapping or touching each other. You don't want the circles to touch each other or overlap with each other, because when you go to cut it, it won't cut correctly, and it'll just make it really difficult for you to brush in your rhinestones. So again, you want to make sure that you leave enough space so that they are not touching. And I'm just going to finish up here with moving these circles, my rhinestone, around. Let me delete the one that I just added and add that like that. And now I am going to zoom out to see if I like it. So let's zoom out. And as you can see, I filled in the E, so there aren't that many gaps in it. Once you are finished adjusting your rhinestones, you will then select all of the rhinestones, and then you want to group them back together. And to group them back together, I'm going to make sure they're all selected, go up to Object, and select Group. So I will make the adjustments to the remaining letters, and for the sake of time, I'm going to speed that part up. Okay, so I'm finished with making all of the adjustments. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to again select the entire word, and I am going to group them back together. And to do that, I'm going to go up to Object, and I'm going to go to Group. Then making sure that the word is selected again, I'm going to go back to Object, and I am going to make a compound path. When you make it a compound path, the color go away. So you just go over to your paint palette and turn the color back red. Go to your line style and put it back on none. So I turned this part of the design into a compound path to create a layer so that the word and the internal offset of our design is its own layer. It will also be a layer when we upload it into Cricut Design Space. Next, I will repeat the same adjustment process for the word ordinary and then create a compound path with the outline and the word ordinary. Now I have completed all of my adjustments and turned the design into 2 layers. I'm going to now save it as an SVG so that I can upload it into Cricut Design Space. To save the file as an SVG, I am going to select the entire design, and I'm going to go to the top menu, and I'm going to select File, and I'm going to select Save Selection, and then I'm going to select Save to Hard Drive. Then I am going to name my file, and this one I'm just going to name it Extraordinary Final, and I am going to change the Save As type to SVG, and then I'm going to click OK. To cut the design with my Cricut, I'm going to upload the Rhinestone design to a blank canvas in Cricut Design Space. Okay, so we have our design on the canvas, and as you can see on our layers panel, we have 2 layers. So now before we go to make it, we need to make sure that our design is sized to the correct size. So we're going to go over here to Silhouette Studio, and in Silhouette Studio, it is saying that our width is 11.120 and the height is 5.455. So in Cricut Design Space, we want to make sure that this template is the correct size. So making sure that the entire design is selected, I am going to change the width. I'm going to unlock the proportions, and I am going to change the width of this design to 11.120. Enter. And then I am going to change the width, the height of it to 5.455, and I'm going to hit enter. Now, it wasn't a lot of change to the design size because it was only off by a little bit, but You want to make sure that you put in the exact measurements, because if you don't, your circles will not cut out large enough for your rhinestones to brush into your design. Okay, so once the design is sized correctly, you are now ready to cut the rhinestone template. Check out my other videos on how to make a rhinestone t-shirt. In those videos, I provide a step-by-step tutorial on cutting, brushing in your rhinestones, and pressing them. All right, guys, that's all for now. I hope that you were able to follow along with my process. If you like this video and would like to see more, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and consider subscribing to my channel. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so that you can be notified every time I upload a video. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below and I will respond back. Thank you for watching and see you in my next video.